At 8:13 p.m., mid-lasagna, my lights went out, and my refrigerator heaved a final sigh. My expensive surge protectors proved utterly useless against someone with bolt cutters and a power fantasy. Outside, in Juniper Crest, an HOA golf cart blocked my driveway. Tricia Beaumont, president and chief clipboard warrior, raised industrial bolt cutters and announced this was an electrical pause for rule enforcement. Her husband, Greg, held up my severed service line like a trophy snake. The neighborhood actually applauded. Then, the entire street went dark. House by house, like falling dominoes. The applause stopped. I'm Marcus Hale, a quiet systems engineer who moved here for suburban peace. I asked no questions, fixed up my house, and bothered no one. Tricia, who treats bylaws like sacred scripture, had declared war over my standard 50W LED security light, which she called a searchlight. She contested my compliance efforts and escalated to fines for vibe assault, a category she invented. Then she found a new lever, my electricity. She used door hangers featuring a cartoon of my house blazing like Las Vegas and placed a plastic tag reading HOA hold on my meter. By sunset, Tricia had positioned a ladder against my service mast, bolt cutters ready. A small crowd gathered. I told her firmly to step away from my line. She looked at me with supreme confidence and said, "As HOA, we regulate aesthetics and electricity is an aesthetic." I pulled out my phone to call 911. Snip. The sound echoed like a gunshot. My house died instantly. The street flickered, then went dark in a cascade of failing transformers. Someone had catastrophically misread the electrical panel and clipped the main feeder that branches to 3 homes. The cheering crowd suddenly stood in complete darkness. In the blackout, Tricia somehow uploaded a pre-written post to the neighborhood app, enforced rest period activated. "You're welcome." The comments immediately turned into a digital mob demanding to know why their power was out and reporting dead fridges and security systems. I called the sheriff and the utility emergency line. Tricia called the sheriff too, reporting me for resisting compliance and interfering with HOA business. Within 20 minutes, 2 sheriff's cruisers, a fire marshal's truck, and the utility emergency response vehicle arrived. The utility supervisor, Patricia Chon, scanned the destroyed pedestal. The fire marshal, Captain Rodriguez, called it criminal tampering with electrical equipment and creation of a public safety hazard. The deputy, Morrison, asked whose idea this intervention was. Tricia, still holding the bolt cutters, announced, "HOA authority. We have the power to enforce community standards." The deputy wrote it down verbatim. "That's good to know, ma'am. That means you're in serious trouble." I stepped forward calmly, pulled out my key ring, and unlocked the substation gate 50 yards away. Complete silence fell over the group. The supervisor, Patricia, squinted. "Marcus, what are you doing?" I handed her the lease agreement from my truck's glove box. "Landlord," I said simply. "Tenant disturbance observed. Thought you should know." What Tricia didn't know was that I had leased the land for the Juniper Crest distribution substation to the utility company for 99 years. The deputy's eyebrows climbed toward his hairline. The fire marshal turned to Tricia, explaining she had interfered with privately owned service equipment feeding a critical utility facility on a parcel owned by me and leased to the power company. She had caused a public safety hazard, a community-wide outage, and damaged private property. The deputy collected the bolt cutters as evidence. Tricia looked like a computer experiencing a fatal error. "Wait," she said weakly. "He owns what now?" The emergency HOA meeting was held by flashlight 2 hours later. The utility supervisor clicked through slides showing cut conductors and relevant code sections. The utility's legal counsel announced they would be billing the HOA for emergency repairs, overtime, and damages, estimated at $40,000 to $60,000. They would also seek civil remedies against individuals. The deputy played body camera footage. The room gasped as they heard Tricia say, "Electricity is an aesthetic," right before the cut. I stepped forward with a simple offer: restore power immediately, waive my personal penalty, and in return, the HOA would adopt a consent decree, no electrical policies ever again, mandatory annual training on what an easement is, and Tricia resigns immediately. The board voted unanimous before I finished my sentence. Tricia plead guilty to criminal mischief in the 3rd degree. The judge, tired of suburban nonsense, listened to the evidence. Tricia accepted 12 months of supervised probation, $6,000 in fines, restitution to the 3 affected households, $2,000, and 120 hours of community service. The judge assigned her to run extension cords and manage generator logistics at the next hurricane shelter, under Captain Rodriguez's direct supervision. She was also permanently banned from serving in any HOA leadership capacity in the county. The utility's civil suit was settled. The HOA's insurance paid out $38,000. Trisha's personal insurance refused to cover her portion, citing intentional acts. She ended up selling her house 6 months later to cover the judgments. When the judge read the sentence, Trisha's face cycled through disbelief and pure mortification. Her mouth opened and closed twice without sound. Her husband just shook his head slowly.